I've recently spoken out to their faces and online on my Twitter and Facebook. I've expressed my upset with Chunky Mark, aka Artist Taxi Driver, and Richard D. Hall of Rich Planet TV. And the reason why I've spoken out against them is because I feel deeply upset by them, because I considered Richard D. Hall and Chunky Mark as my friends of humanity. Alright, we didn't know each other personally, but I felt that they were like soul friends, and I accepted them into my heart. I felt love for these people. I felt love for him. I felt love for Richard D. Hall. And when the injustice of the Hampstead case arose, the first people that I turned to for help was Rich Planet and Chunky Mark. And they both totally ignored me. I will say Richard D. Hall did engage in a conversation that lasted through 50 emails before he finally accepted that I wasn't a shill, which is what he did implied at one point, much to my dismay and actually outrage. But still, neither of them have picked up on it. And I did express my annoyance and upset over that to them, but then I forgave them, and because I thought, well, yeah, it is a horrible thing to look into. I can understand why Chunky Mark doesn't want to look at that, and why Richard D. Hall, it is a very disturbing case. But my anger just rose. It's just rising. And it is a righteous wrath, and it does heat up, and I do explode in my home. I get so upset. It really has an impact on my life, because I've just endured so much ignorance and so much derision and so much judgments against me, and all I've ever done is try to do what's right, to live right, to help people, to help animals, to help our planet, to help the people around me. And yet every single time, every way I turn, apart from the handful of people who I know, I really know that those people are my true friends, some of them physical, some of them online. You know who you are. And it's because I know who those people are, and because I love them as well. And then it upsets me to feel that they're being let down then by people like Artist Taxi Driver and Richard D. Hall, because what they choose not to focus on is also a guidance to the public not to focus on within the alternative medias. So that not only was the Hampstead case ignored by the mainstream media, apart from to falsely accuse the mother and her partner of abusing the children, also there was an organised silence within the alternative media. And in fact, a lot of the alternative media, who we did contact right from the start, refused to pick up on the story and dismissed it until the Pizzagate story broke, and that had such a huge audience. And we can't forget that there is the issue of revenue here. So when there's a mass public interest in something, and then the mainstream alternative, because there is a mainstream alternative media, isn't there? Alex Jones is part of the mainstream alternative media. So when there's a huge public interest, then they'll pick up on it, and then you'll notice they'll start to control it, and gradually information will be disseminated, and trivialised and, well, you know, this is false, and until eventually the whole thing dies down. They whittle it all down to a few crumbs of dust, and everybody moves on, because now they've got the next issue that they want you to listen to, but they're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to guide you. And this was the thing that I did support Rich Planet and Chunky Mark, because, you know, I did feel that Chunky Mark is guiding people, and I did feel that Rich Planet is guiding people. He's going round giving his tours, informing people. But then when they ignored the Hampstead case, and still to this day those children are at risk, and child trafficking is such a terrible thing that's going on. You know, millions of children are being trafficked, babies and children, every year. And, you know, I did write to Richard D. Hall and inform him of all the information. And so, and it did really hurt me. It really upset me. It deeply, deeply upset me that not just you two, but so many other people, you know, there's Paul Joseph Watson, who's now talking about Hampstead, because the Pizzagate people have picked up on it and are refusing to let it go, just as a core of British people have done the same. You know, now Joseph Watson's talking about it on InfoWars, talking about the Hampstead case. But I know myself and other people besieged his website, you know, his Facebook, in comments everywhere we could, saying, please, please look at this case. Oh, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. How can denial of justice to 2 children be a hoax? Because that's what we're talking about. And you see, and that's where the worm finally turned yesterday, when I realised that both these people do focus on child abuse, don't they? Because, you know, the Maddie's case, he's been on it like nobody's business. He had no trouble talking about Jimmy Savile. And the thing is, with both of these people who are asking questions, why are they asking questions? Because the authorities did not ask the questions at the time, did they? They failed to pick up on evidence, which meant Jimmy Savile got away with all his crimes. Child victims of his crimes were ignored when they did report them to authorities and police. Evidence was denied in relation to the Maddie case that really was quite strong forensic evidence and should have warranted a lot more further investigation. And everything that you said about Jimmy Savile and everything you've said about the Maddie case is exactly why we're complaining and in uproar about the Hampstead case. Because there was evidence and arrest criteria was fully satisfied. So we don't care what you believe happened to the children, whether you believe their original testimony, okay, whether you believe the testimony that they gave to the police and the home recordings and the drawings that they did and the accounts of the drugs they were given, okay, whether you believe all of that or not, evidence was there that needed to be investigated, because an evidence was supported by medical evidence. And when 2 children are giving a detailed description of a teacher's genitals and medical evidence has confirmed the abuse, I don't care whether or not you believe the rest of the story, nonetheless there is enough evidence there then to go and arrest those teachers and have a look at their genitals, is to confirm the evidence that has been confirmed with medical evidence. Because if 2 child witnesses reporting repeated sexual abuse against themselves and horrific events have to endure a medical examination to verify their claims, which the medical examination did, then it stands to reason that the suspects named by the children and known to the authorities should then equally undergo a medical examination to either confirm the children's descriptions of their genitalia or to prove that, no, the children have just made this up. Because then that puts the public mind at rest, because then we know that they're innocent, there's no suspicion around anybody. We get help for the children, because it is a serious abuse to force children to lie about something as horrific as the things those children repeated to the police. But then if the children's descriptions are proven correct, then investigate all the other story, because this is involving international child trafficking ring here. This is mega. It's involving police from 2016 police stations. It's involving social services and the family courts. It's involving like people in serious positions of power and authority in central London. But all of that, all of those suspicions, we can just toss them in the bin, because police decide to ignore the fully satisfied arrest criteria on the strength that the children's story is completely unbelievable. You know, professional people with connections to charities abroad don't traffic babies into Britain and take part in, you know, organised crimes against heaps of children and even prostitute them and make snuff videos and, you know, indecent images of children for sale and, you know, take drugs and all these things. These things don't happen. So what's the point of even investigating it? All right, yeah, there's anal scarring. Let's say it's probably a very large poo. That as a foundation for denying medical evidence has never. That is just absolutely disgusting. But no, as I explained to Richard D. Hall and also to you, artist taxi driver, the United Nations Child Protection Report that was published in 8th of July 2014, just months before those children gave their crime report to the Central London Police, outlines every single crime that those children claimed they witnessed and had happened to them, including the ritual slaughter of hundreds of trafficked babies in London every year. And they describe London as a child sex tourist capital of the world. And so it does disturb me. And I do not want to think of my friends as being actually my enemy. And if I feel that you are my enemy, then you are the enemy also of all my friends. And I will stand in their defence, whether they know me or not yet. And at the same time, simultaneously, I will invite both of you to show your true humanity and to stand with myself and all the people who are simply asking for justice. Because until police do start investigating crimes against children, the Jimmy Saviles of this world are always going to get away with their crimes, and we are dealing with a psychosexual disease. It's an infection, and it is infecting every generation. And it is not enough to join the uproar, the general uproar about Jimmy Savile. We need to focus on the actual facts of what's happening today and address them. to stop this crime. And as I say, I don't want to believe that, you shills. I would like to keep the love that I feel for you, that I felt for both of you. And I would like it to be honoured. As, you know, I've done my best to support both of you. Shared your works, you know, and I know that I criticise you both now if I think that the whole reason why you engage in subjects that you do is just to get some money for yourselves. Then that just, you know, and actually prevent people from addressing things that they should be addressing by just ignoring certain issues, which is a form of passive aggressiveness. And it does hurt. And it's, you know, in this case, it's helping to deny justice. You know, for the trafficked babies, I mean, what, we can just pretend that, oh well, of course there was no trafficked babies being murdered. But these people did have connections to charities abroad, exactly as the United Nations described them. And it's a very, very serious issue. And, you know, this country is lost if we can't stand up for our children's rights. And they are, you know, now in autumn. That's how close it is in autumn. That quick, we're going to lose our human rights. And still no children's rights. And there is a point where we need to come together, where we need to just be, in our humility, stand up and say, do you know, I was wrong. I was wrong to ignore this. I'm really sorry. But I'm here now. What can I do to help? Please, other people, come and help. We need to stand up for our children. And so, at the same time, you might, you know, artist, taxi driver and Richard D. Hall, you might think that I am a threat to you. The fact is, I have felt that your dismissal and ignorance of the injustice, the abomination of justice that's been delivered to British children, that is exemplified in the Hampstead case and the Holly Gregg case, that itself is a threat to our children's future, to our future as a British public and even as a species on this planet. That's how serious it is, and it's only because it is that serious that I've openly stated something, because I don't hold any person really individually responsible. You know, I don't believe it's fair to target certain people. But at the same time, you are speaking out, supposedly, for the British people. And I would say that you are, and you have done, and that's why I supported you, and that's why I love you both. And that is why now, you might think I'm a threat, but I am here to strengthen you. Because it's not just me. There's hordes of people out there that are so upset about what's happened with the Hampstead case, that does expose the absolute horror that passes off as child protection in Britain. And that's why the abuse is rampant. And so, you know, there is an opportunity for you to, as I've said to the people that were attacking Ken O'Keefe, the strength to be gained in eating humble pie. I've ate it myself countless times. I'm eating it now. Okay? And humbly, I ask you to ask questions about the Hampstead case and gain strength from exposing to people that, look, how we do, even when we are engaged in the truth and addressing the issues, how we can be persuaded into a cognitive dissonance. Even those of us who are awake and aware to a lot of things, but still that cognitive dissonance is lurking there somewhere, isn't it? And so, you know, I ask you both, get onto Drift Loud on Twitter, DRIFLOUD, Drift Loud. He presents all the evidence, you know, and, well, what can I say, except, yeah, I've put myself on the line. You can attack me, both of you now, and all you supporters can attack me. I'm used to it by now. I've got a horde of satanic child abusers, you know, constantly trolling me. So, but I'm really not bothered. I've had the mud thrown at me since I was a child. I'm not bothered anymore. Okay, it'll all come out in Wesh. But not the crimes of the people who, not the people who are committing these crimes. And it's just a matter of us, you know, with humility accepting that, yes, we were wrong. Because I don't want, you know, I'm not expressing my upset and honestly, openly sharing my suspicions, because I don't want to carry those suspicions. Okay, because I can't be a friend to somebody that I'm suspicious of. I have to explain to them, look, I'm suspicious of you now because blah, 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 blah. And my true friend will reassure me. I'm not getting much reassurance from people. Instead, they're just attacking me. And then that tells me that, well, what? I must be right then. And I don't want to be right. Okay, I do not want to be right about thinking bad things about people. I want you to show me that I'm wrong.